What a win. Russell Westbrook from the corner. Big shot. Big shot. Aaron Gordon, huge plays. Nuggets win. They lead the series over the Clippers 1-0. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for joining us and making us part of your day. Being with us every day, Monday through Friday, being an everyday or hanging out with us, whether you're on podcast or you're hanging out with us at youtube.com/LockedOnNuggets. We're glad to have you aboard after the Nuggets' awesome 112-110 win over the Clippers in game one of their Western Conference series. We'll break all that down today. Today's show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. I'm Matt Moore. I write Denver Dig. I'm on Locked On NBA. I write the Action Network. His name's Ryan Blackburn. He's a Mile High Sports. He does the Pick Action Roll podcast. Ryan, how does it feel for you, the guy who never lost faith in Russell Westbrook, who loved the signing from the moment it happened, and who believed in it, no matter how many times I looked at you during the season when Russell Westbrook would badly miss a shot or turn the ball over, you always had that look of, don't worry, it's going to be great. He's going to deliver when the playoffs come. Huge moment for you, Ryan.
Matt, as somebody who is very strong and foundational in their beliefs, why would I ever waver from my unwavering faith in Russell Westbrook, Matt? No, here's the thing. Like, this is what makes Russ. Like, 5 of 17, made some wild plays, didn't do everything perfectly, didn't matter. Like, the Nuggets needed him on the floor at the end of this game. It was so important for him to be out there. It could have been Peyton Watson, I guess, but it was Russell Westbrook, and it was Russell Westbrook for a reason. He was playing extremely well, helping them out on both ends of the floor. But for him to have that moment and basically the 30 seconds left on the clock, right? 30 seconds left on the clock. Denver's down by 1. They need a bucket. And the Clippers had been doing this thing where they were doubling off of Russ early in the shot clock, taking Chris Dunn and trying to push him into the Jokic Murray actions as much as possible, force chaos, cause turnovers. And Jokic had this moment on that play where he looked at Russ, knew he had him open, looked at the rest of the floor, tried to figure out exactly what they could do and whether Russ was the best choice in that play. And then he passed the ball. And then Russell Westbrook hit the biggest shot of the game, a shot that took Denver from down 1 to up 2, a huge, huge 3 in the left corner. And like, it's those moments of trust that Denver has been preaching, right? Like, especially over the course of these past couple of weeks, it's trust, it's accountability, it's playing together, it's understanding that you can't do it all by yourself. It's been very fascinating to see how Denver has evolved. But like, credit to Russ, man. He deserves his flowers in this moment. Made some massive plays.
I love this comment from Fernando. I love that today didn't take Jokic doing Herculean tasks. A lot of the other guys stepped up. That's David Adelman talked a lot about that, about a lot of guys who aren't named Jamal or Jokic made big shots in that fourth quarter and overtime. And it's absolutely true. Russ hits the jumper with 24 seconds remaining in this one to make it 98-96 to take the lead. Let's go back to the beginning and let's talk about, I think this is really fascinating. Among the number of ways I think this is impressive, if you told me that the Nuggets in this game were going to only shoot 44% from the field, that they were going to shoot 33% from 3, that the score in this game was going to be 112-110 in overtime, I would have told you that they lost. This was not the kind of script that I thought the Nuggets were going to need. I thought they needed to make this an offensive series. And to be honest, like, that's why they trailed for most of this game, is that this was a defensive slugfest. It was an ugly, ugly game. And what I think was one of the coolest things about this game from a Nuggets fan perspective, I wrote on the newsletter on Friday, the Nuggets have to rediscover their underdog selves. That version that would find a way to win. That every time the people were like, well, they can't win this way, that they would do it. That they would scrap and they would be the one that had more endurance, that pushed harder at the end of games, that made tough plays. That's who this team was. Whether it was Aaron Gordon driving through contact, whether it was Russell Westbrook offensive rebounds, whether it was Jamal Murray tough shots, whether it was Nikola Jokic taking what the defense gave him, whether it was great defense from Joker in the fourth quarter, they did all of those things, and they did them in a way that I thought was really interesting, and that the context of this game is not what I would have thought a Nuggets win would be. And the fact that they won it, I think they are very proud of that fact. Like, that locker room to me was beaming, and the comments reflect that they were very excited about the fact that, hey, we didn't have the offense clicking. Hey, we didn't hit a ton of shots, and we still found a way to get it done, because they know that's what makes championship metal. And like, they saw that version of themselves again. And I think that went a long way for them in terms of building confidence today.
I'm going to take us back to the championship run. There was the Suns series that Denver played. Game 1 and game 2 were so distinctly different in that series, where game 1, Denver was unstoppable. They struggled to stop and slow down the Suns, but they were just unbelievable on the offensive end. And they rolled through the Suns, and the Suns couldn't keep up. The next game, it was this slugfest. It was this ugly, disgusting, gross kind of game. And you know who stepped up, and that was KCP. There were a lot of plays where it didn't have to be a Michael Porter Jr. It didn't have to be a Jamal Murray. It didn't have to be a Nikola Jokic. It wasn't the pretty shot making that was what got Denver through that one. And it wasn't the pretty shot making that got Denver through this one. It was the fact that they forced 20 turnovers and had 29 points off of said turnovers. It was the fact that they locked in the fourth quarter and then overtime, and Jokic especially was directing traffic. His voice sounded like he couldn't speak at all at the end of his presser today. And just, you have to exhaust yourself with how much communication and how much you're working on the details. And it's the first time in this season that we have felt that at all with this group. And so they should be proud of that. This is how it should look. We should have more evidence that this is something that they can get to. But the fact that they were able to get to it in game 1 of the first round in this situation where Kawhi was really good and James was really good, and like these guys, like Zubas was really good. It was a very notable performance that Denver was able to, with their guys on the floor and Russell Westbrook, just like making it happen. It was awesome.
Okay, for a guy that uses words like despicable and unprofessional, I'm going to need you to go back and say it was a very notable performance. You can do better than that, wordsmith. So I'm going to give you the break for you to think about that. By the way, in a minute, coming up, I want to talk about how I think the Nuggets defense literally rope-a-dope the Clippers. And how this game played out on the defensive side for Denver. Brandon Johnson notes the Lakers lose too. I know, Brandon. Do you know how I know that? Because they're not in my comments section tonight running their mouths. We're going to talk about the Nuggets win over the Clippers some more when we come back on Locked On Nuggets. Ever check into your bank account and wonder, where did my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track, and that's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. You know, when you start using Monarch, you're going to realize how much you were spending on food delivery or whatever it is, entertainment options, streaming services. For me, it's subscriptions to different things that I want to read. And now you can budget and save more by focusing in on the things that you really want to spend money on. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us and making us part of your day. Appreciate you guys being with us here on Locked On Nuggets at youtube.com/Locked On Nuggets or on podcast version. If you're listening to this on Sunday, hey, and you celebrate, happy Easter. Happy Easter to you. It's a very, no, I'm not going to go there. That would be blasphemous. By the way, shout out to the Avalanche 5-1 over the Stars. That'll wait, boys. go check out Locked On Avalanche and rejoice in more Denver winning over there. I have like all of the words inside of me about the defense. Do we need to talk about something else before?
Well, my word is sensational. I have decided that will be my positive buzzword for Denver in this, where the sensational effort and sensational execution was I don't know if that's the best one that I can come up with, but it's a good one at this point. The defense was tremendous. That's another good word there. It's one where you and I have fought on this a lot in terms of whether Denver was capable of getting to this place, and you didn't think that they were. I don't know if that was I don't know if that your opinion has changed over I think that this kind of has to change it in a little bit. The Clippers are not a great offense, so that in part really helps Denver. But I think it's impressive that they were able to get to this place, don't you?
I just want to be clear. You, who have bemoaned how much this team sucks all year, are saying that I was, in fact, too much of a skeptic.
I owe you steak.
Okay. That's true. You do owe me steak for believing and for your belief in the the second half defense. So, look, here's what I'll say. I want to kind of give the big picture of this.
Yeah.
The first quarter, I was pitchfork in hand with a Molotov cocktail, ready to torch everyone, because I poked around in this post game and no one was biting, and we'll see how the series plays out if I can get the answers by the end of it. The Nuggets walked into this game, and in the first quarter, I'm not just saying that it was bad effort and execution. It was everything. Gordon is checking Harden after the first 2 minutes. And Ryan's well, that's got to be a cross match in transition. No, that was the assignment. Yeah,
wild.
Gordon was on Harden, which I was this is the and there's an idea here of, well, if you put Gordon on Harden, then when he runs pick and roll, you can switch it. And it's okay. And I'm that doesn't matter because Harden's just going to go downhill on him, which is what he did. Jokic was playing that soft at level, quote unquote, at level, which is actually 1 to 2 steps behind level, where you're kind of there. It's not a
no
high
man's
drop.
land. It's what we can call a no man's land defense. I think we're at that place where it doesn't really accomplish anything, so it has to be a no man's land.
Yeah, and they were hitting the short roll and getting everything that they wanted over and over and over again. It was the same stuff that we've talked about, back cuts, open corner threes, everything. And I was just oh, okay, so this is just who they are. This, they did not have another gear. This is just who they are. And then midway through the second quarter, and Adelman kind of referenced this when he said, we went back to kind of what the game plan was, what we knew we wanted to do.
Yeah.
And it was really simple. Hey, let's have Christian Braun guard James Harden. Let's have Aaron Gordon guard Kawhi Leonard. That's the matchup that I went into the series being you can do this. This is doable for you. And play hard at the level, and then play a little bit of drop and a little bit of that level, and switch a little bit to keep them honest. And they did it, and it worked in that second quarter stretch with Adelman really shouted out. And then in the second half, they got better and better and better. By the fourth quarter, there are possessions where, and I'm going to highlight them and post them on Twitter on the Locked On Nuggets handle, and probably on our Instagram too. By the way, we have an Instagram. Go follow us on there. Oh, wow. I'm going to post a clip of how Jokic was guarding. It was Marc Gasol, I'm hedging you to the sideline.
Yeah.
Into him, bothering his handle. And the Clippers were just what?
Yeah.
They were completely caught off guard by this, as well as in a really impressive set here. Once Gordon got on Kawhi, and Kawhi was okay. So then Kawhi starts going to try and switch him off. But then the Nuggets are blitzing him and making him be a playmaker, which I will tell you, Kawhi Leonard is not. The best he ever got was pretty good in 2017. That was 8 years ago. The man's not a great playmaker. He's just not. He just wants to rise up and fire. So blitzing him like that and forcing him to make those plays, and over again, out of bounds, bad pass, interception, over and over again. And it was night and day from the opening quarter. Now, these are huge adjustments in game. And somebody noted well, this is what Malone would never do. Now, I don't want to spend the thing relitigating Malone. I don't. What I will tell you is one of the reasons that not only Malone, but other coaches would hold off on these in-game adjustments is because now you've shown them what you're going to do. So now going into game 2, you've made it's not the first adjustment because you just went to what you were going to do. But these kind of showing what you're going to do against them, now they're going into that second game because you're not just playing your base coverage. Now, I like it in this instance. And the reason I like it is the Clippers just had a game where they led by 15 for the vast majority of this game. And they lost. A heartbreaker in overtime, in the altitude, with 48 hours rest before an old team has to play again. So I think they didn't throw out tricks. They just did the stuff that they're supposed to do. Yeah. Hey, we're supposed to play at level. Hey, we're supposed to get up into guys. But I thought the defensive transformation from that first quarter to the fourth quarter was so stark. I am not confident in that because I suggested, I asked Matt Brooks from Nuggets.com. I was like, are they rope-a-doping them? Did they literally come out and try a bunch of stuff? They came out in a 2-3 zone, which, by the way, their zone sucks. That's why Kawhi got that blow by on the corner. They had so many things that was like, what are they doing? And then all of a sudden, by the third quarter, the Clippers are like, God, we're tired. And they're just a lot better now. And it worked. And, I won't share what Brooksy told me, but I will just say that some skepticism that was what happened. But to me, the transformation was so different from the first quarter defense to the mid-second quarter to the third to the fourth. If it was purposeful, it was amazing. If it was not purposeful, it was a good job by David Adams of getting them back into what they need to be doing, and that is the base coverages and the executing the way that they need to.
It's always interesting when you're in your first coaching job. And it's his first opportunity. This is his fourth actual game where he's been the head coach, and having to make those decisions in real time and listening to your assistants and listening to the people and listening to your players and trying to make the right decisions on the fly. I thought that Adelman really handled himself pretty well today, and just finding ways to adjust and finding opportunities to make yourself better throughout a game is what it's all about. And the Clippers were also a team that kind of opened up the bag a little bit and tried some things. The fact that they were using Dunn to just kind of double Murray at half court as soon as he crossed it there, and they tried to get the ball out of his hands, that was another notable thing that Denver will probably be adjusted to for the future games. So it goes both ways here, and I do think that the Clippers try to break some stuff out to really steal one in game 1. And the fact that Denver was able to kind of stay on top of it was really, really important. So Jokic, Murray, Gordon, Christian Braun, they each played, I think, upwards of 45 minutes in this game. Just how important do you think it was for them to get this one specifically and not let it slip?
Home teams that win game 1 in the first round win about 67% of the time. It's 70% overall in the first round when you win game 1. I think if they had lost this one, I think if they hadn't come back, it wouldn't have been that bad of a loss. Been all right, you didn't play well. It's not good. And everyone would have jumped on the Clippers and been like, look at the Clippers. This is what we thought. The Nuggets are broken. Blah, blah. And that's not a bad spot to be in. You can come back and smack them in game 2. I think the fact that they were able to, now there's a counter to this. So there's always counter examples I can provide. One thing you could argue in this game is that Russell Westbrook's 3-pointer and other plays late down the stretch are analogous to Andre Miller being the most important player in the 2013 Warrior Series game 1. Because if you remember, Andre made the putback that won them that game. And it was that should have been the warning sign of yeah, you didn't play well and you needed Andre Miller, and yeah, it's not good. The argument could be here is you needed Russell Westbrook to have the most clutch fourth quarter in NBA playoff history, according to StatsWatch, in order for you to be able to win this game. But what I do think I want to talk more about Russ in the last segment, but what I do kind of think is, I just think if you're the Clippers, I still don't think they have a collective belief. I still don't think that I will always be dubious of a team that is led by Kawhi Leonard. Always. I do not believe in him as a leader. He doesn't lead. He shows up, he does his job, board man gets paid. And so now he can win him the series by dropping 40 on him every game, but I think having this kind of hit is pretty big to be able to be we took your best punch. We played like trash for half this game. Jokic honestly went cold for much of this game. And like, I know that because I had an over on his 29.5 points. Murray was not good.
7 of 20.
7 of 20 in this game. And you won. I think this was a body blow to the Clippers. Now, I don't want to count them out because this is what's great about these series. When you have good teams, is like, all right, let's find out what the Clippers are made of. Because if I'm wrong, and they do have that kind of internal leadership, they're going to respond in game 2, and they're going to even the series. That's what makes sports great. But I think it was a pretty monumental, win from the Nuggets in that perspective.
I do have more respect for the Clippers after watching that game. I mean, I had respect for them before, but being able to see just the different ways that they are able to affect things, like they're not going to turn the ball over 20 times again. Like that's not going to happen. They will be more prepared. Their defense is excellent. I do think that they have more layers. Nicholas Batum is unbelievable, Matt. He is my favorite role player in the NBA right now. And I love watching Nicholas Batum play basketball. He just knows everything and how to do things and just how to impact the game in the best way that he can. And they've got a lot of guys like him. Derrick Jones Jr. didn't have a great game today. He will be better going forward. Zubats, they went away from him at times. He was cooking in that first half. He'll probably get back to it over the course of this series. So they have plenty of ways that they can get better, but so does Denver. So that's kind of what this is about, where teams will make adjustments and go back and forth.
There's so much more I want to talk about. We're running out of time. Let's take it on the other side. We got to give Russ some more flowers. I want to talk about Christian's defense. I want to talk about Jokic's trust in his teammates. I want to talk about AG. We'll talk about all that and more coming up next on Locked On Nuggets. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. If you need help with a marketing campaign, Upwork can connect you with a freelance expert who delivers incredible results. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com to connect with top talent and grow your business today. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us, making us part of your day. Matt Moore with Ryan Blackburn. No jinx, because we'd never, ever, 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 ever jinx anyone.
My hands are up. Never done.
I think you actually said something today, like there's absolutely no way Russell Westbrook can ever have a moment.
I was obviously trying to imply the jinx.
Yeah.
So let me just make sure that everybody knows what you're talking about.
By everybody, you mean people with him as their avatar on Twitter?
Yes, I would like to make that clear.
And like, here's the thing: if you're like, so do you think this Russ story is going to end well? Is what Clippers or Lakers fans would say, and I'd be like, probably not, man, probably not. But you know what? He got today. Like today, Russ got to have that moment where he was the one that hit the big shot, where he was the one that made the big play, where his defense. By the way, love the fact that on the final sequence where he was able to deflect the ball out of bounds to cause the turnover, he knew that play from his time with LA. He read that play because of it. Regardless of everything else, for Russ to have that moment is really good. Like that's a really cool moment. And if it sours, we won't remember it. We'll just remember the bad. But for right now, in this moment, as of right now, like these are cool sports moments. And Russell Westbrook got to have an incredible one today, and the Nuggets got to celebrate that with him. And it was really cool after all of the tension point and the attempts by various people leaking various things. By the way, let's be very clear on this. Don't blame the reporters. Blame the people that decided to leak it because they had an agenda for their guys closing games over certain other people. And Adelman saying, I'm going to put the guys that can win the game on the floor. That freedom that he's been afforded was huge in this game, Ryan, not only with closing with Russ, but you and I came into the series and we talked about it. I said, I do not know how MPJ stays on the floor here. I do not know how he can play. And it's hard. Like Mike took this hard today. Yeah. Like, this is not what Michael Porter Jr. wants for his career.
No.
But the reality is that in this matchup, the Nuggets need different stuff. And it should be okay. I do believe that they'll face a matchup where MPJ can have success. It's not this one. Maybe there's not. Maybe teams have figured out how to solve him by staying home on the weak side. I talked to somebody in the organization today who was talking about, like, I suggested this, where I was like, look, they're just staying home on him on the weak side and bringing help from the strong side. What's Mike supposed to do? And he's like, there's not much. Like, we need him to space. Like, that's his job. Is he's supposed to space out? If he crowds in on slashes and cuts, he's just going to get in the way. If they're going to stay home, that's one defender that's out of the paint. And there's not much that Mike can do there. There's not much of a way that Mike can contribute. And so it's not really on him. But I did think it was really great that Adelman was able to go to Russ, was able to trust him, and that it paid off. Because if it hadn't, it would have been another in a long series of Russ stories this season. And honestly, on every Russ team for the past 5 years.
It was great to see the moment, and he deserved it. The way that he's held his head up in this situation, and the team has rallied around him in this situation. And it's important for, like, if you're going to talk about coming together as a team, being connected as a team, communicating as a team, you have to keep everybody in the loop. And so with Russ, like, it was at least a small danger that moment in that situation against that team, with talk about the Timberwolves, could have broken things. And the fact that it did not for him, and the fact that everybody has continued to work with him and make it so that it is viable and make it so that he is in a position where he can succeed, is very powerful. So I'm glad that they're able to do it. The best story for the Nuggets this year is the one where Jokic and Murray and the Nuggets help Russell Westbrook advance as far as he ever has. And that's, like, that would be a powerful way for him, like, in his career, where he was villainized in a lot of different places and was kind of turning at this point, like with that Timberwolves moment. So it's nice to see that. And I hope that it continues. It doesn't have to be all the way like that. It could be like, it doesn't have to be 5 of 17 either. Like, it could be 5 of 9 in the next game. It could be 2 of 9 in the next game. It could be 1 of 4, depending on how teams are trying to guard him. I don't think it's going to be like that, but it will be fascinating to see how his role continues to evolve. Do you think that there's a world where he starts in any of these games?
I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know if they can get to that point, because, like, you lose Mike, and what if you need Mike? Well, there's an injury and you need Mike. You know, it's like, do you lose him there? Is that,
I don't know.
Like, you know,
and that's tough, because, like, Mike has also contributed so much to this team over the course of several years. So you do not want to lose him in that situation. And, like, you treat a guy with respect who has given his all, given his entire body to this team and what he's been able to accomplish. So I want them to keep the lineup for as long as they can, but I am keeping my eyes on it. Like, I don't think the starters were the problem. I honestly think that it was when you started to get into the subs, and it was like, I don't know. We'll see how this continues to evolve, but I do think that Denver can maintain that advantage there.
Starters were -3, not great, but not awful.
Yeah, it could be. Like, I don't actually think that they were that much of an issue.
But I do think, here's the problem, is I think once I think it was the Porter non-Jokic minutes that were probably rough.
Yeah, it's the second unit minutes. Murray was missing a lot of shots in that situation. The beginning of the second quarter, Gordon kind of struggled when he was attacking the rim, but Denver just has to be more precise, and this is a part of it. So Porter can help himself out in that situation, and the Nuggets can help Porter out by continuing to try to find him in transition, continuing to try to drop some plays every now and then for him, and just trying to keep him involved in ways where, like, he doesn't have to do anything crazy. It's just using him as a decoy in a lot of these cases. And if they don't respect it, then he's getting shots.
I want to go here. Fourth quarter and overtime. So I literally said to Ryan today, after, like, the first half, I was like, I don't want you to be right about AG and, like, the curve of guys getting older. I was like, but maybe he's just got too many miles on him, because, like, he was just not looking. And then, yeah, Gordon with 7 points in the fourth quarter and 6 in OT. He had 13 points in the fourth quarter in overtime. They were all
huge,
tough buckets, or that 3-pointer to make it 92-91. Yes. Like, I mean, and the offensive rebounds late in that game to give them more opportunity. Just AG is a winning player, man.
Yes.
Like, Aaron Gordon makes winning plays. He is the kind of guy that you need on your team to win basketball games. And I was hyped up for AG to have that kind of performance for a guy that has had a real year from hell on and off the court. And for him to have that game, you know, Russ gets the headline. That's great. AG was the guy that delivered over and over and over again in this game late.
How many times did Kawhi even try to go at Aaron Gordon, like from an offensive perspective?
I'll go back and watch, but it feels like the over-under is probably like 4 with like 2 in the second half.
And so that's the important thing with AG out there, because it forces that switch. It forces him to try to hunt other guys. And like, I thought Christian did a pretty good job in most of those cases of just making it difficult for Kawhi. And so like, I know that that's where you're going to kind of go here, but Aaron, the fact that he was able to handle that, the fact that he was a guy that Kawhi forced himself to try to get away from was really valuable. That is an important factor.
Well, and that's like, here's the big key is, okay, usually it's Kawhi's just going to cook whoever's in front of him. Like I said this at the beginning, and look, it's one game, maybe like Kawhi can have 40 the next game. I said this, like he had tough shots today. He shot well because that's Kawhi Leonard. He always shoots well. He was just quiet. And AG made it tough on him. So then Kawhi's like, well, I don't really want to go at this guy one-on-one. So I'm going to run a screen. And now they're blitzing Kawhi and making him be a playmaker. And it's really smart. It's like, hey, you can't beat our guy one-on-one. You can, but it's more work than you want. So if you try and get separation, we're going to blitz you. Yeah. So now your options are, if you want to isolate and take tough fadeaway jump shots and he hits them, okay. Like, we'll live with it. We respect you. We'll live with it. That's fine. But what we're not going to do is we're not going to let you get into a advantageous position. We're not going to switch these possessions. We're not just going to give you these easy switches. We're not going to give you Jokic. We're not going to give you Jamal. We're not going to give you, we're not even going to give you CB. There's some commentary and there's some comments that are talking about CB's defense. And you and I kind of disagreed on this at halftime. And I'm curious where you came down. One, I think that he was phenomenal versus Harden in the second half.
Yeah.
He hit 2 step back. Like, I am telling you, no one on earth takes that 3-pointer away from James. Nobody. It is make or miss. There's no way to defend it. You can't. It's impossible. It's like a Luka one or like the Jokic Sombor. Like you can't. You just do the best that you can. And unless you're Victor Wembanyama, who blocked that Sombor. That's still insane to me. But anyway, so like Christian did everything right on those isolation possessions. One of the things that, if you notice in the first half, this gets into like the difference in the first half, second half. If you're like, well, you know, Christian was letting him get straight line drives out of pick and roll. What they want to do, and I wrote about this at the Denver Dig, they want to, in a lot of situations, what's called icing Harden, which is you position yourself against the screen, the direction of the screen, to force him away from it, force him to reject the screen and move him away from the basket. That works if your big drops and pushes him out. But Yoke was retreating straight back into the paint, which means Harden's got a lane right down. Again, second half, the execution's much, much better. So like Christian, I thought Christian did his job on defense today. I honestly thought that offensively they need to get him more involved. He needs to have more opportunities. The Clippers defense, I asked Adelman before the game, I said, hey, the one thing that the Clippers have not been good at defensively, even after Kawhi came back, is transition defense. What do you have to do? And he said, we got to play clean. They didn't play clean in transition today. It was messy. Those turnovers, missed layups. Somebody mentioned the layups in the chat segment. I pulled the stat and Ryan couldn't believe it, and I can't either. The Nuggets, according to pivotfade.com, 44% on layups today. Good God.
Not great.
Right. And a lot of those were in transition. And the Clippers, meanwhile, did a terrific job of getting back in transition to not, like, unless it was a live ball turnover, Denver was not getting transition points. And they just did a really good job on that situation. So that takes away some of CB's offense. But I do think that they need to find ways to get CB a few more touches on cuts, slips, etc. in game 2.
They certainly can get to that. It wasn't a lot of possessions for CB, like you said. 1 of 4 from 3, made a big one at the end of the game, and like that was basically the one that kind of put it out of reach for the Clippers. So good on him for being able to get that done. But yeah, like 1 assist is too low, and especially with the way that if they are going to blitz Murray with Chris Dunn, not even like on him, but just like Kawhi being on him late in games, and then Chris Dunn coming over from helping off of Russ, then why not initiate with somebody else? Why not initiate with Aaron Gordon? If Kawhi is going to be guarding like Murray, why not initiate with Aaron Gordon instead? Like he's probably got Harden on him among other people. So there's a lot of different ways that Denver can counter this.
Do you like that?
And wait, say it again?
Do you like AG going at Harden?
No, like he can initiate. It doesn't necessarily mean that he has to like post him or anything like that. You want him to be able to make decisions with the ball, because like that's the great benefit of having AG. It's not just the scoring. Like he's a great playmaker for other people. He's a great passer for other people. So I think there's a lot of different ways that they could go. Murray's going to make more shots in this series as well. Like 7 of 20 is just, it's too low for the quality of shots that he actually got. He will be better. And I think that Jokic will be better too. 12 of 24 is like shockingly low for Jokic. Yeah. And 1 of 4 from 3. Like I think all of those shots were pretty clean for him. So he's going to be able to generate some good ones. I think they'll be okay.
GA says, are you guys worried about Adelman playing the starters way too much in game 1 before the overtime started? They won by 2 in overtime, my man. Like, I just got news for you with where the roster is at. Like, think of it this way. How many guys can play in this series? How many players did you expect to play in this series? Now subtract Michael Porter Jr. and Peyton Watson suffered an ankle injury. Like,
okay. Yeah, you start to get, the sun gets real low real quick.
Yeah, so it's like, guess what, guys? Like the starters are going to play 45 minutes a night. Like this is just like what it's going to be. Like the starters are playing 40. Like, and look, they might gas out. They are not in a good enough position to manage this. They can't. They're just not. They're not in a good enough position roster wise to do it. It's going to have
Porter, if he could get up to 30 minutes and be viable, I think they're okay. And most games are not going to be going to overtime. So hopefully that's not another thing that they have to do. Like most of these guys were tracking for about 40 to 41 minutes, which I think is a normal high echelon amount of minutes. But yeah, Denver's going to have to figure it out. DJ, as Sammy says here, I don't know if he can play. It's why I thought that Zeke would be an option, but
it depends on what they do with Norman Powell in the next game, because Norm had a very quiet day.
Yeah.
And so I think the question is going to be like, do they get Norman Powell more involved? I will say this, for all of the talk about Ty Lue and how great of a coach he is, the thing I've always said is he is obsessed with going small. And everyone after the game in the media circles was like, what is Ty's deal with going small? And it's just very predictable that he thought that going small was going to be the secret solution. And it wasn't.
In which case, because like I honestly didn't have a problem with the rotations that he made.
I think he did not get back to Zoo quick enough, and he wound up playing a few too many minutes, I think, with the Simmons at 5 lineup and a few too many minutes with the Batum at 5 lineup too. So it's just like, I think,
yeah, but I like what those guys did, and I like what.
Well, yeah, you would, because you're is the shooty hoop spacing, but like I think in general that going small is not like. Do you think going small works versus Denver?
Versus their second unit, yeah.
But not versus but it was Jokic minutes. That's why.
Well, so it was actually like, that's where I think Jokic can be better. Is like, it didn't work. Like Jokic did not punish, and the Nuggets did not punish the small ball unit at the end of the third quarter in the way that they needed to. So it was a way that I thought that Ty Lue was kind of stealing some minutes so he could bring Zubats onto the floor a little bit sooner in the fourth quarter. But that didn't happen. So maybe you're right. Maybe that is something to think about. But honestly, like that's something I think that they'll change. If they don't, I'd be shocked. Like that, if you're gonna play small ball versus Jokic, it better be to have Zubats go up against smaller guys in the second unit, because like that's where he should shine.
We're over time. I want to talk more, but we'll do
I
it
know.
more tomorrow night. We'll get into game 2, adjustments for then. Phenomenal game. Terrific game. Feel good about this one.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, we didn't even get to Jeff Van Gundy holding on to the ball. So many things to get to. But a great one. We'll have more notes for you tomorrow. We'll talk about adjustments before game 2 on No Jinx tomorrow night around 10 o'clock Mountain Time. Here at youtube.com/LockedOnNuggets, or you can catch it on the podcast version. Give us those 5-star reviews. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy your Sunday. We'll see you guys again next time on Locked On Nuggets. What a win.